The spirit of rejection in the church context typically refers to the feelings and behaviors that arise from perceived or actual rejection by individuals or groups within the church. Let's walk through an example of facing a spirit of rejection. Pastor John has been leading his church for over a decade. Despite his dedication and hard work, he often feels unappreciated and disconnected from his congregation. This stems from a deep-seated fear of rejection, which has roots in his childhood experiences of feeling overlooked and undervalued by his family and peers. The symptoms: oversensitivity to feedback. During a church board meeting, a member suggests that the youth program needs improvement. Although the feedback is constructive, Pastor John takes it personally, feeling that his leadership is being questioned. He spends sleepless nights worrying that he is failing his congregation. Seeking approval. Pastor John frequently seeks reassurance from his congregation, often fishing for compliments after sermons. He asks, "Did you think today's message was impactful?" More out of a need for affirmation than genuine curiosity about the congregation's spiritual growth. Isolation. Feeling misunderstood, Pastor John starts isolating himself from the congregation and even his pastoral team. He stops attending social events and retreats, believing that no one truly values his presence or contributions. Comparing himself to others. He constantly compares his ministry to that of neighboring churches, especially those with growing memberships and vibrant programs. He feels a sense of inadequacy, convinced that his church is not thriving because he is not as gifted or charismatic as other pastors. Negative self-talk. Pastor John's internal dialogue is filled with negativity. He often thinks, "I'm not good enough," or "the congregation would be better off with someone else." These thoughts erode his confidence and joy in ministry. Difficulty trusting others. He becomes suspicious of his leadership team, questioning their loyalty and intentions. When they propose new ideas or initiatives, he hesitates to support them, fearing they might be plotting to replace him or undermine his authority. The consequences: diminished effectiveness. Pastor John's sermons lack the passion and clarity they once had. His pastoral care feels forced and detached, and church members begin to notice his emotional withdrawal. Strained relationships. His relationships with church members and fellow leaders become strained. People feel they are walking on eggshells around him, afraid to offer feedback or new ideas. Increased stress and burnout. The constant fear of rejection and need for approval take a toll on Pastor John's mental and physical health. He starts experiencing burnout, feeling overwhelmed and exhausted. The path to healing. Acknowledging the issue. A close friend and fellow pastor notices the changes in Pastor John and gently confronts him. They have a candid conversation about the signs of rejection and how it is affecting his ministry. Seeking help. Pastor John agrees to see a Christian counselor who helps him explore the roots of his feelings of rejection and develop healthier ways to cope. Building trust. He makes a conscious effort to rebuild trust with his leadership team and congregation. He starts attending social events and being more open to feedback, recognizing it as a tool for growth rather than a threat. Fostering community. Pastor John encourages small groups and community-building activities within the church, creating an environment where everyone, including himself, feels valued and supported. Through prayer, counseling, and intentional changes in his behavior and mindset, Pastor John to overcome the spirit of rejection, finding renewed strength and joy in his calling. Feeling unwanted or unloved. Individuals may feel they are not genuinely cared for or accepted by the church community, leading to a sense of isolation. Fear of rejection. A constant fear that others will not accept or approve of them, causing them to withdraw or avoid social interactions within the church. Oversensitivity to criticism. Overreacting to constructive feedback or perceived slights. Feeling personally attacked or judged harshly. Seeking approval. Constantly striving to gain approval and validation from church leaders, often leading to burnout or disillusionment. Self-sabotage. Engaging in behaviors that prevent forming close relationships, such as being overly critical or aloof due to a deep-seated belief that they will eventually be rejected. Negative self-talk. Internal dialogue filled with thoughts of unworthiness, feeling like they don't belong, or believing they are not as spiritual or valuable as others in the church. Isolation. Physically or emotionally distancing themselves from church activities, small groups or fellowship opportunities due to the fear of being rejected. Comparing themselves to others. constantly comparing their spiritual journey, talents, or contributions to those of others, often feeling inferior or inadequate. Anger or bitterness, harboring resentment towards the church or specific individuals due to past experiences of rejection or exclusion. Difficulty trusting others, struggling to build trust with church members or leaders, assuming that they will be let down or hurt. Addressing the spirit of rejection often involves spiritual and emotional healing through prayer, counseling, and developing healthy, supportive relationships within the church community. Thank you for watching. Please subscribe to the channel for more spiritual content.